Welcome to the video for chapter 33 of the Cambridge Introduction to Sanskrit, which is going to tell you about desideratives and gerundives. Desideratives are forms expressing a desire to do something. Sanskrit has desiderative verbs, adjectives, and nouns, and we're going to be looking at each of those separately. First of all, desiderative verbs. Now, in chapter 7, we were introduced to causative verbs, which express the idea to cause someone to do something. And parallel to that, a desiderative verb expresses the idea of to desire or to want to do something. These desiderative verbs are formed by reduplicating the verbal root and then adding sa to it. Sometimes it's not sa but isha, where the s has changed to sh due to ruki after the e. And then to that we add an ending. If the basic verb is active, then the desiderative verb is active. If the basic verb is middle, the desiderative also is likely to be middle. The reduplication works for consonants, just like in perfects and class 3 verbs. The details of that you can find in chapters 18 and 27 of the book, as well as in the reference grammar at the back of the book. And vowels are reduplicated as follows. Short u and long u are reduplicated as short u. All other vowels are reduplicated as e. So, for example, of bhu, to be, we get the form bhu-shati, he wants to be. What we have here is bhu, the root, which is reduplicated, bhu. Then we add sa, which changes into sha due to ruki after the u. And then we have the third singular ending, ti. So bhu-shati, he wants to be. Pa, to drink, gives us pi-pa-sati, he wants to drink. And bhr, to carry, gives us bha-rishati, he wants to carry. Verbal roots, when used in desiderative verb forms, usually stand in 0 grade before the suffix sa, and often in guna before isha. So, for example, what we just saw of bhr, we had bha-rishati. So, guna of bhr, i.e. bhar, in front of isha. Then there are a number of small formal irregularities. First of all, roots ending in a short vowel may lengthen this root final vowel in the desiderative. So, for example, of shru, to listen, to hear, we get shru-shati, he wants to hear. Before sa, root final vocalic r, turns into ear. So, from kur, to do, we get cikīrṣati, he wants to do. And then there are 3 desideratives whose verbal basis cannot easily be inferred at all, and so they're given here explicitly. These are ab, which is to reach, to obtain, to get, which has the desiderative ībsati, meaning either he wants to get or simply wants. Then from da, to give, we get the desiderative ditsati, he wants to give. And from dha, to put, we get the desiderative ditsati, he wants to put. Finally, desiderative verbs form periphrastic perfects. This is something that's going to be introduced next chapter. Next up, desiderative adjectives. These are formed from the stem of the corresponding desiderative verb, but what we need to do is replace the final a of the verb suffix sa with u. So from yud, to fight, we get a desiderative verbal stem yuyutsa. The corresponding desiderative adjective stem would be yuyutsu, and this would then mean desiring to fight. From cikīrṣa, which is the desiderative verbal stem of kur, to do, so cikīrṣati, he wants to do, we get the desiderative adjective stem cikīrṣu, meaning desiring or willing to do or to act. Desiderative adjectives are declined like regular short u stems, which were introduced in chapter 26. Let's briefly look at an example of a desiderative adjective in this quote from the Mahabharata. Pura deva yuge adityah agachat manusham lokam didirkshuh. Pura means long ago. Deva Yuge is in the god age or in the age of the gods. Adityah, which is Aditya, i.e. the sun. Agachat, came. Manusham lokam didirkshuch. Didirkshuch is the desiderative adjective of dirsh, to see. So didirkshuch is desiring to see. There's desiring to see whom or what. Manusham lokam, the human world. So altogether we get a long time ago in the age of the gods, Aditya came, wanting to see the world of men or the human world. Desiderative nouns, finally, are also formed from the same stem as desiderative verbs and adjectives, but the a that we have at the end of a desiderative verb stem needs to be replaced with a to get to the desiderative noun. These desiderative nouns are declined as long a stems, which were introduced in chapter 9, and their meaning is always abstract. So, for example, from ab, to get, to obtain, we get ipsa, the desire or wish to obtain something. From shru, to hear, we get shrusha, the desire to hear, which is a word used to mean obedience. Next up, gerundives. Gerundives, like participles, are adjectives that are formed on the basis of a verbal stem. Their meaning expresses the notion of passive necessity, which means that the gerundive of to do means having to be done. The gerundive of to eat means having to be eaten, and so on. Their form consists of three elements. First of all, the verbal root, which often stands in guna, but we also find vritti or zero grade. Then one of three suffixes, ya, tavya or aniya, and ya is replaced by tya if a short vowel precedes, and then finally a case ending. Among the three gerundive suffixes, ya and its alternative form tya are the most frequent, but in general the form of the gerundive of a verb cannot be predicted, neither the suffix nor the root grade. There is one mostly regular correlation, and that is in front of the suffix tavya we typically find the verbal root in guna, but as was just said, we cannot predict whether a particular verbal root is going to use the suffix tavya. Furthermore, we actually find several gerundives formed of the same verbal root in a number of cases. So, for example, from kr, to do, to make, we find the gerundives kartavya and karya, both meaning having to be done. And of shru, to listen or to hear, we find shrutya, shravaniya, and shravaniya, all of which mean having to be listened to or having to be obeyed. A few more remarks concerning both the form and the meaning of gerundives. First of all, verbal roots that end in long a change that a into e before the gerundive suffix ya. So, for example, from da, to give, we get deya, meaning having to be given. Gerundives all need endings, and the endings that they use are those of short a stems for the masculine and neuter, and those of long a stems in the feminine. So basically they decline just like priyach, priyam, priya. You can negate gerundives with the prefix short a, and when you do that you get one of two meanings, namely either that which must not be done or that which cannot be done. So, for example, akarya from kr means that which must not be done, that which is improper, but adahya from dahati, to burn, means that which cannot be burned, that which is unburnable. When you encounter a gerundive, the literal translation, having to be xed, having to be done, having to be seen, and so on, actually rarely ever makes for idiomatic English. Very often what you need to do is translate a gerundive as a relative clause. So, for example, rather than saying the having to be eaten food, you should translate the food that must be eaten. Often you should even consider translating a gerundive as an active verb. So, I saw the having to be eaten food is either I saw the food that should be eaten, or in the active, I saw the food that I should eat. The having to be defeated by us enemy could either be the enemy that must be defeated by us, or perhaps even more idiomatically in English, the enemy that we must defeat, that we have to defeat. Given that this entire account may have sounded a little abstract, let's look at 2 examples of actual gerundives in Sanskrit texts. The first example comes from the Ramayana. Sarve munayah kushilavau prashastavyau prashashansuch. Sarve munayah means all the seers. Kushilavau is a dvandva meaning Kusha and Lava, which are the 2 sons of Rama. Prashastavyau, having to be praised, which is the gerundive of prashas, formed by means of the suffix tavya and standing in the nominative vocative accusative dual masculine, agreeing with kushilavau. And then prashashansuch, which is the perfect of prashas, so meaning they praised. So sarve munayah prashashansuch, all the seers praised. Whom? Kushilavau, Kusha and Lava. And Kusha and Lava are described as prashastavyau, which is literally having to be praised. So all the seers praised having to be praised Kusha and Lava. Slightly better English, all the seers praised Kusha and Lava who had to be praised. And perhaps even more idiomatic English, Kusha and Lava who were praiseworthy. The second example comes from the Bhagavad Gita. Kaih maya saha yodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. Kaih, by whom? Maya saha, with me. Yodhavyam, having to be fought. Asmin rana samudyame, in this battle undertaking. Literally, this would say, by whom must it be fought with me in this battle undertaking? But in English, it is much better to express this as an active, so we simply ask the question, who must I fight with in this battle undertaking, or in this battle? That was it for this chapter. We hope that you found this video helpful, and if you have any comments or suggestions, we would love to hear from you. Please do write to us at rupal@cambridge-sanskrit.org. And now, for your own work on this material, good luck and have fun!